Moving on to the next slide, let's get into informational digital signage. So where can this type of signage be found? Usually it's hospitals, doctors' offices, schools, airports, and all these places have one thing in common. People are sitting around and waiting. These messages are not selling products, but they're giving information about a business, a place that you're already in, to benefit the consumer. A great example that the text uses is Boston's Brigham and Women's Hospital. And this hospital utilizes more than 24 monitors in their hospital, the monitors cycle through 35 still frame messages and videos covering topics ranging from hand washing to weekly rounds to National Nutrition Month activities. This is basically just for people who are sitting and waiting. We've all been there. We've all waited at doctor's offices. These informational digital signages give people something to do while they're waiting there, and in turn it's helping the consumer, but it's also helping the company and the business because people are leaving happy. They're not angry that they had to wait for an hour to see a doctor for 2 minutes, but they're quite pleased with their time because they learned something, they were entertained while they were there, which is the whole point of digital signage. Moving on to the next slide, let's get into where digital signage is placed. I included a picture of Times Square in New York City, which is a place that I absolutely love. I'm sure many of you have been there as well, but if you haven't, there's a picture. It doesn't do it justice, but it's an amazing place filled with digital signage everywhere, people, buildings. It's just the mecca of digital signage, and it's one of the main places people like to have their advertising. But not everyone has millions of dollars to put their advertising and their digital signage in Times Square. But when put in the correct spot, digital signage can be just as effective. Moving on to the next slide, let's talk about where digital signage is being placed. So real quick, I'm sure many of you have seen these around and can assume where they would be put, but let's just go over a few. So bus stops, billboards, hotel lobbies, hotel rooms, restaurants, subway stations, subway trains, planes, doctor's offices, bathroom stalls even. If you move to the next slide, I actually included a picture of digital signage in a bathroom stall, which is just the weirdest thing, but I guess it could be beneficial for a bar trying to promote a certain drink or a certain liquor. But I just goes to show you that digital signage can be put anywhere and everywhere, and clearly it's beneficial in helping companies, or else they wouldn't be putting it in such absurd places. So moving on to the next slide, signage and religion. Churches and places of worship are truly utilizing digital signage to the fullest and keeping up with the times and how technology is advancing. Not just churches that you or I will go to, assuming maybe Baptist or Pentecostal, but also mosques, synagogues, and temples are utilizing digital signage as well, which is great. So what are they putting on these digital signs? I'm sure some of you may have them in your church. I know I go to Thomas Road in Lynchburg, Virginia, if any of you've heard of that. And they have digital signage throughout, not a ton, but in the lobby they have a digital signage showing what's going on and how to donate. And then in the congregation right before the service starts, there's a big digital sign of what's going on in the week. They have a person that comes on and talks about what's happening in the church and what's going on, what's exciting, things to look out for. And I think it's very beneficial for the congregation, as well as bringing people into the church. It's very fascinating that they can utilize technology so well. So other things that could be used on the digital signage in a place of worship could be prayer requests, upcoming events, members of the church being featured to highlight them. The list could go on, and it's great that churches are utilizing this. More of a technical side, how they put up their digital signage is they usually use an iCloud system, which by the click of a button, every different digital sign can be updated. And through the use of the internet as well, it can help update their digital signs. So moving on to the next slide, which is signage and journalism. Let's get into journalism through digital signage, which is something I didn't really think existed. I thought it was mainly just publicity. But informative journalism is also very important as well in the digital signage world. So since March 2010, New York Times content has been delivered to some 350 digital screens in business district restaurants and cafes across the United States. I wouldn't think that this would be a great idea, but if you're in the right spot, say at a cafe in New York City where a man just leaving his job on Wall Street is going to see the New York Times digital screen, they're going to be interested in that. They're going to like to see what it has to offer. And that's why they utilize this in the big cities like Chicago or New York City or LA. Something that the New York Times shows on their digital signage is health, business, technology, movies, travel, bestsellers. These are all things that their demographic likes to hear. They know exactly how to pertain to their demographic and reach them.